Hi, and welcome to our online event Game Starter tonight. I'm Johannes, and me and my colleague Amanda will moderate this evening and will introduce our wonderful three guests shortly. Thanks all for tuning in tonight. We have a really interesting topic. We're going to talk to three UI and or UX designers in the game industry about their path to the industry, what a UX and UI designer does, and much more. And we'll start in just a minute, but first, a few words for those who join us for the first time. This is actually already the 10th edition of this event series. In the Game Starter events, we want to give career starters and people who are in general interested in the games industry some insight into different job roles, into how you can start out in the industry, which skills are important, and what awaits you there. Each time we focus on a different job role, and you can see all past editions on our website or our YouTube channel. And just a quick word who we are. Amanda and me, we work for Gamecity Hamburg. We're a location initiative funded by the city of Hamburg, promoting the local games industry. The stuff we do is that we host many different events to bring people together and to inform them about the industry and about Hamburg as a location. And we also host a conference. We run a prototype funding program and an incubator program, for instance. And speaking of events, I just quickly want to draw your attention to our next upcoming event after this one. As it is Pride Month, we host another edition of our series Gamecity Impulse, which is dedicated to the topic equality, diversity, and inclusion in the games industry and games in general. So we have this event coming up on June 23, where we'll have a talk by journalist and speaker Lara Keilbart on the topic of queer authenticity in the history of games, plus a discussion. It's going to be highly interesting, and I recommend you sign up to it. If you want, go to gamecity-hamburg.de/events, and you can find all our events there. But now I'll hand over to my colleague Amanda, who has just a few more things to say, and then we're starting off with our actual panel discussion about UI and UX design.
Yeah, hi, I'm Amanda, and I just wanted to shortly give an introduction to our program, the GamesLift Incubator, where applications are still open until June 14th. The GamesLift Incubator is a support program for developer teams so that they can make their first step in creating a digital game. It is a 3-month-long intensive program with financing of 15,000 euros, a workshop and mentoring program, also individual coachings, and guidance with the marketing of your game. You can find more information on our website, and if you're interested, check out check out the program and apply until next week. But yeah, I'm also going to introduce this evening's schedule. So right now we're in the welcome and introduction section, and next up we're going to jump into the introduction of our 3 panelists. After that, we go into the discussion round, and at the end of the discussion round, there will be a Q&A round where you can ask questions. A question can be asked anytime in the chat. We will collect your questions, and they will be given to us, and be asked at the end. At 8 p.m. We should be done, and you will all be full of new knowledge. Next up, I'm going to present our 3 panelists. It's first Fernando Forero from Blizzard. He's a senior UI artist. Also Annika Schnepper from InnoGames, also a senior UI and UX artist, and Robert Malicki, a UI designer and 2D generalist working at Sviper.
Thanks, Amanda. And yeah, we'll just start right off, and we'll ask everyone here on the panel to introduce themselves. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where do you work? What's your job there? And how long have you been in the industry already? Maybe Robert, you want to start?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm Robert. I am currently, should I go backwards? No, I start with the beginning. I studied graphics design in my hometown, Schwerin, not far from here. And I was applying for different things like design studios, and I tumbled over a request from a small startup in Hamburg, and that was Jump Jupiter, a browser game back then. That was my entry into the gaming industry, so more like a coincidence. And after that, I worked at Good Game Studios for 7 years on a lot of different projects. And then I changed to Sviper, where I've been for, I think, 5 years now.
Great. Yeah. Can you tell us actually what you're working on right now, or is it confidential still?
It's a game. I made a note. What can I say? It's about strategy, resource management, and a little bit of sci-fi.
That sure does sound interesting. Maybe Annika, you want to continue? Tell us where you work and what's your job. How did you get into the industry? And maybe also you can tell us a bit about what you actually do right now.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's start from maybe earlier. After school, I really wanted to start in the games industry. This was 2007, so there was not a real big game industry in Germany. And so I decided maybe I could study computer science. So I studied 1 semester computer science and quit because it was not creative enough. Or yeah, I thought I couldn't reach my goal with it really. And then I started media design at the university in beautiful Salzgitter. And yeah, then after this, I had an internship at Ticking Bomb Games here in Hamburg. It was my first steps in Hamburg. They don't exist anymore, sadly, but this happens all the time. Yeah, and after this, I got a job at InnoGames. There I am almost 10 years now and work as a UI, UX artist. I started there as 2D artist, but developed more and more into this direction. Yeah, and the game I'm currently working on is, what could I say? It's fantasy. It also has resources, and yeah, I don't want to say more. It's secret. It's not released yet.
So we see the games industry still has its mysteries.
Yeah.
Thank you. Fernando, do you want to continue how you made your way into the industry where you work now and what you work on?
Well, my name is Fernando Forero. I'm a Colombian. I came from Colombia. I moved abroad like around 13 years ago. Initially, I moved to Poland. During my life in Colombia, I finished the university, but at the same time, I was studying by night at the university, and over there I was working in medium and small agencies, doing graphic design, logo design, corporate advertisement, and things like that. I have a personal passion for typography, and I was developing small projects by my own. When I moved to Poland, it was kind of a difficult time for me because I was in a different environment, not speaking the language. Was like restarting again my life from scratch with a lot of issues, personal, emotional, and in any level. So looking for opportunities, I get in touch with some art directors at MTV Europe, where I developed some projects. I did some graphic design for small companies and medium companies. And one day I saw opportunity for a graphic designer for joining to CD Projekt Red. I sent my CV as a graphic designer. I didn't know what The Witcher was. I didn't know that they were producing the game, but the art director, an art director and art producer saw my portfolio, and they gave me the chance to talk to them. Through the process of interviews, they saw potential in me. They made a test for me, and after that, I keep with the team at The Witcher 3. And then after launching The Witcher, I worked for a little bit in prototyping earlier stages of Cyberpunk. Then I moved to another video game companies in Hamburg. For my luckiness, was a beautiful, beautiful period, beautiful team, beautiful moment for my life and for my growth and my personal development. Unfortunately, the projects were canceled, and I need to jump in another projects like mobile games, where I have a learning as well and a growing, personal growing. And then I get the art director, Blizzard in Diablo 4, sent me an invitation to talk to him. Initially, I didn't want to move to the States, but after conversations and visiting the studios and seeing what they were developing, I decided to join. I moved to the States for some time, and I am already 5 years working with Diablo 4, where I make UI art, but as well helping them with another collateral materials for printing or for another stuff inside of the company. Yeah, just excuse me.
Great, thank you. That's a very interesting track record. And I see we already got the first questions coming in from the chat. We'll come to those in a while, but first we have a few more questions prepared, and I think Amanda has a few more of them for you.
Exactly. Yeah, so for starters, we mix two things together here. Do you want to explain what UI design, what UX design is, and where the big differences is? Maybe Annika can start us off here, as you are a UI designer, as you are all the UI designers, but Annika is the only one who does UI and UX.
Oh, okay. I think it's only how you define it. Maybe at the end we are all doing the same, but I have a title where UX is inside. Maybe for me, my definition is UI means a user interface, and that's more the dry part maybe of my job, and UX adds more all what makes it more fun and all the feelings that the user gets, and yeah, animations, FX, yeah, what else? Yeah, this is a difference, I would say, but everybody could say something else here. I think there's not a straight title definition. Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, sure.
I thought about that. This is a very common thing that happens when people are looking for jobs, that they always look for UI UX. And I personally think these are very different things. And I also wanted to recommend you guys, if you could make a UX panel on its own. I think there are a lot of very interesting people that can talk a lot about it. I would say, if you ask me, UX is the more sciencey part of the thing. There's a lot of research involved, and it can be way more than the interface. It's actually user experience, so a UX designer will take care about the whole thing, like how the game appears, how maybe wording is. They are working close together with game designers and I don't know, business performance and UI and everyone. And it's usually the person that criticizes my job the most. And I love it the most. Like I actually love to work with dedicated UX designers because we make a good team. Yeah.
I will share some thoughts on that as well. You have a game defined by your game director and the game designers, and they enter in contact with the team of the UI. So the UI will start looking how to implement things in order to make the game functional in the sense of giving extra meta support to the players. So the UX first, he will create like this skeleton of the game, of the UI, how it will be presented, what kind of elements will be displayed, the type of levels of interaction that you have with the game. And then the UI designer will help to implement or code or implement the UI and giving space inside of the game. And then we as a UI artist will give the skin of all this. After all these processes, we will give colors, fonts, shapes, textures, and all the visual presentation of the UI. And all these people in the UI chain we are in service of the gameplay. So we give support to the gameplay in order to have an immersive experience in the game.
And the next question, UI and UX designers are pretty sought after job roles in other tech-related industry as well. Can you explain what's special about working in UI and UX in the games industry?
It's definitely more fun, I would say, at the end.
I think,
Depends.
sorry, did I interrupt you?
Continue.
I think depending on the project you're working on, there is a big opportunity to, I don't know, tell stories, kind of. Like if this person asked for the specialty in games, there's of course other UI. You can design a UI for a streaming platform or for an app or something. And you could also design an operating system for one of the big companies, right? And they are usually very like calm or in the background. You just accept them as very functional and don't think about it. And when you work in games, you can quite often, tell a story. You can dress up stuff, like pop-ups and dialogues can look like paper if you want them to. And buttons can do stuff like glitter bombs or I don't know, like sparkles. And that's usually something you wouldn't get from from a streaming platform UI. So there's more. I don't know if it's more creativity, but it's more colorful. I don't know.
Yeah, you were more diving into a world, and it's not so flat. I would say as an app, it's more like its own world.
So what does your typical workday look like? Or does such a thing as a typical workday even exist?
In my case, yeah, we have structures. We have set up milestones, and those milestones are divided in small chunks, and those small chunks are divided in days. So we have tasks per day to complete. We have amounts of time to tackle a specific parts of the project, and we in the mornings I will start checking emails to see the feedback I have from the works I did the day before, or especially my current condition is that all the my teamwork all are in the States, in California, and I am in Germany, in Leipzig. So we have a difference of hours. So I need to track constantly what's necessary to do if there are changes in the gameplay or changes in art direction or changes inside of the UI team, and I need to follow information and be really rigorous with checking everything that I am doing every day, and completing everything into the 8 hours work, and then sending everything I did over the day for them to review and wait for the next day. And sometimes at the end of the day, we will have some meetings, depending in the urgent situations, or sometimes recently we set up more some kind of meetings to not only to talk about work, but to chat between colleagues, more like a friendly talk. Because I'm far, and everyone in the team is working from home because of the COVID. So we wanted to stay in touch, not only about work related topics, but about the human side of every one of us.
Yeah, it's like my perspective would be most jobs in the game industry, or most game companies, work in this framework. It's most of the time it's like Scrum-ish. So you would have 2-week sprints, and your typical work day, I think, begins with a stand-up meeting of sorts, where you just update everyone what's the status, and then you have like the reviews and the groomings, and you have feature kickoffs and stuff like that. And then what I noticed, like for my, like as a UI person, I can't speak for you guys, I have like 3 phases, and they are undefined in length. But there are times where I just read a lot of stuff and talk a lot of stuff and listen to a lot of stuff to people like designers, and we just talk. And I've tried to figure out what people expect from a feature or something, and just trying to get into the mind and an idea. And then there is a phase where I design, and that's when I spend most of my day in my case, it's oftentimes Illustrator. I work a lot in Adobe Illustrator, and I'm actually doing layout, and just try to like convey content and listen to music on the side and everything. And the third phase would be the integration phase, where I spend most of the time in the engine, in my case Unity, where I just try to like build the stuff I lay out and make it work. And I occasionally work in a pair with a developer, and just we try to make stuff work. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have phases like this.
Yeah, it sounds very similar. It's exactly the same here for the processes, stand-ups, meetings, concept phase, production phase, and implementation, and then testing and getting feedback, improving everything again, and so on.
So in these work days and phases, are there any typical challenges in UI design that occur in most projects?
Yes. One thing that always comes back is localization. That's always a thing that happens if you make a design, and you have to figure out how does it work in different languages. If you mean stuff like that, like this is constantly happening. I don't know, like also a typical thing is just, but that's just the base of the work, is like if you make a design, and however illustrative it is, or straightforward, you have to constantly think about how will you do it in the engine, like just how do you build it.
Yeah, I guess that every project, depending on which kind of projects or which kind of companies, every company and every team have different challenges and different situations. But I guess that I was seeing things like it is a process of conversations and agreements between the people in the team, depending as well in the teams in the mobile industry, mainly are one or two people in the UI, which negotiate between them things. In AAA projects, probably, and depending in budgets as well, you have more people, you have more hands, so you probably sometimes you have support between each other, but sometimes you have more things to agree on. But I think that from my perspective and my experience, one thing that I challenge a lot is the feeling that you are producing a lot of things that will now see the light of the day. You produce a lot of things that will go in the shadow because you are concepting a lot, because you are creating a lot of different variations of something, of an icon, or you select a set of typographies for your project and all of them will go, or the feeling of the gameplay are changing, the game is evolving, so the needs of the UI is changing constantly, and this is something that it's your challenge day by day. All the time you need to have the consciousness that no matter what you are doing is always you will be changing everything. So you cannot fall in love by some specific things in the UI as an artist, and you need to still iterating all the time.
Yeah, also in contact with a lot of different areas in your team, with the art department, with developers and game designers, product management. Everybody wants something from you, or you want something from them, and for example, developers mostly have not so much time always to do what you wish for, and sometimes you can't make what you want. At the end, it's looked maybe different because nobody had time to help you or to do the code work or some artwork for it. So this could happen.
Like a following up question is, what was your most unusual or surprising task so far?
I think there were a lot more, but the most recent one was now that I learned Blender as 3D software to create icons. So this also can always happen, that you have to learn new software that is not in your field typically. You just learn it and take it as an opportunity.
I also just started learning Blender, but that wasn't surprising. I was conscious. I decided to do that. And I also forgot everything again because I don't have tasks at the moment. I don't know. Unusual. I think back in the days at Good Game Studios, unusual tasks would always have been like corporate tasks when people from a whole different department like HR or QA or just something like that contact you. You have never heard of them and they want graphics for something, and it's like a completely different mindset. Like production teams usually know, okay, when we ask a UI designer for XYZ, they will probably look at you like, are you crazy? This will take hours, but they know it. And like HR departments or I don't know, quality assurance, they usually don't know what it means if they ask for something. And then you ask back with very specific questions and then they are super confused, and it's like can be very exhausting communication. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I don't know.
No, in my case, no, I don't have any situation. I guess that before my experience was doing different projects in different ways. So I am always like facing new things. I always, my feeling is that during my life as an employee for someone or some project or whatever, I'm always jumping in some new situations and I need to adapt quickly to things. So the biggest challenge for the most unusual thing was entering in the video game industry, because I didn't knew anything about UI, art, games, anything apart from having references from games from this artistic side, like researching illustrators or concept artists or things like that. But my start with the video game industry was with The Witcher, and in Poland in a strange situation. So everything was new for me, but I had to adapt quickly and overcome emotional problems at that time, and it was kind of tough. But yeah, you need to adapt and to try to do the best that you can. You cannot master everything. You just need to try to do the best that you can.
Fernando, your answer fits perfectly into my next question. It is: have you always been in UI and or UX? And if so, how did you get into that?
Maybe I will still continue with the conversation. So I was living in Poland, and for over a few years I had problems to get a job. I was freelancing, but freelancing, sometimes you have a job, sometimes from a project, sometimes it's well paid, sometimes not. So it's always up and down. And when was the negotiations with this CD Projekt Red for The Witcher, I was in this specific moment that I didn't have money to pay the rent in my apartment. So I was close to be homeless. And just at the same moment, I was trying to make that the people at CD Projekt gave me the possibility to work with them, because I was in need of the job. But I knew that I have no any background in UI and I did a lot of web design. So you have intuitively some kind of let's say skills for how to set up layouts, dimensions, font sizes, colors, and things like that in a screen. So I designed some fonts and typographies and things like that, and I make illustrations. So I gave as much information to them to make them give me a chance, because I was in need of a job, and luckily everything works at the end out, and was like that. No previous background in video games, and just for looking for opportunities.
Yeah, for me it was like I said, it was kind of a coincidence. Like I was always drawing and stuff, and I think I noticed graphics design very early on as a child, even before I knew it was a thing like graphics design. I just noticed, I don't know, things look the same but have different colors, or this brand looks like this and that, and then during school I learned there's graphics design, and I thought I could do that, something with drawing, and then I studied that. And during that time, I learned that I don't want to work in advertisement. Also, some of my teachers told me that, Robert, that's not what you want to do. You're not the type for that. And then I was a bit lost after the end of university. Like it took me half a year to find something. I applied not much. Like I think I wrote 6 applications, very dedicated, mostly to agencies who would have a illustrative focus, because I wanted to do something expressive and colorful, but also graphics design. And during that time, I worked a lot in Illustrator. I just really liked the aesthetic of that, the vector aesthetic. And then, like the guys from Spots on Fire, I saw their application thingy, and there were already some illustrations from one of the illustrators they contacted, and that really appealed to me. And then I applied, and they called me a day later and said my work fits very well. And then I was just the artist at this team. I was doing everything like 2D and animation and UI and stuff. Also narration. I wrote a lot of stuff for that game. And then years later at Good Game Studios, it was like in like 2012-ish, I felt like there was an explosion in the gaming industry. And out of nothing, all these concept artists started showing up, and they were really good in drawing. And then there were 3D artists who were really good at modeling stuff. And I was still the guy who was doing like graphics design. And then bit by bit, I transitioned to that person. I was doing UI then. And it was only back at Sviper when that role became more of a generalist again, where I had space to do tasks beyond UI, like concept art or just write stuff and animation.
Yeah, sounds similar. I was always drawing and painting during school time, and then after my university, yeah, I started an internship. This was also a role as a 2D artist or 2D general artist. And then later at InnoGames, the same. There were only 2D artists and 3D artists basically at the beginning. And yeah, some of them could paint better than the others, and or wanted to paint more like the concept artists. And yeah, I did more graphic parts, menus, icons, buttons, layouts, and yeah, and then more and more that develops that there was a specific, that the role got a description that it's now user interface designer. And yeah, but back then there was not such a role definition.
Thank you so much for these insights. I give over to Johannes for the next set of questions.
Okay, yeah, we're having a bit of staccato here, but trying to work through our own question catalog as the questions from the chat pile up, and we'll get to that soon. But first, I wanted to ask you, you all work in bigger companies, but how big are the teams you are actually directly working in? How many people do you work with in your day-to-day work? Maybe Fernando, you can start us out on that.
I'm already accounting because we set up two teams doing, you know, the UI in Diablo is a little bit bigger than in another previous games that I work on. So we have more people. I can say that initially the first period of production, I was the only UI artist. Then by situations, I decided to move back to Germany, and then we have more people on hands. So there is we are like directly in our team probably 5 or 6 people. Yeah, and we have a few UI artists, few UI designers, and of course the lead designer.
Okay, maybe Robert, as a contrast, I think the team at Sviper might be a little bit smaller. How is it for you? How many people do you work with?
We are currently growing a bit. I think we started with, I don't know, like a handful of people. There was like every position once. Like, I think when I joined, we were 8 and grew up to 11. I don't want to lie. I think 11. And right now we are 22, I think. But still, there's just one other UI designer, and we are currently working together at the same project. We might split up into smaller portions and go over into a prototyping phase. And that's prototyping teams are usually not full teams. It's usually 1 or 2 devs, and then like, I don't know, some generalist artist, maybe artist hop on, hop off. That can happen. So my current team is the whole company. Yeah, we are all working at the same thing right now. So 22.
Okay, great. And how is it for you, Annika? Is it vastly different at InnoGames?
Yeah, our team is maybe around 20 people, 15 to 20. I should count them. Yeah, so we have one other UI designer. It's always good to have 2 in one project. One is sick or has vacation or so. Yeah, but at InnoGames we are, I think, I'm not sure, maybe 500 people now. Yeah, but the game teams all have, so I would say from 10 to 30 people.
Okay, yeah. And what interests also a lot of people in the chat is actually which other job roles are you actually working closely together with? What's the department you have the closest relations to, or are closest to you in the workflow? Some people asked about actually how if you work with UX researchers dedicatedly, or if you work a lot with programmers on implementing the UI you designed. How is that for you? Whom do you work with directly from other departments?
In our case, the UI works close to game director and gameplay. They will say what are the needs of the UI, but there are people coding, there are people programming, some designers. They are, I guess, mainly the whole production need to do something with the UI. So we need to cooperate with, but everything is filtered through production. So it's not that they come to us all the time saying, oh, we need help in this, and then we focus on them. No, it's just, it's an order of priorities, and the producers organize all the things that we need to do. But mainly it's gameplay, programmers, of course the art direction and all the production in this. Now we have different kind of art directors too, and people that are giving us feedback. But yeah, at the end is we work with everyone in the company. Everyone have a need in UI.
How's that for you, Robert? Is it more of a talk to the colleague at the other end of the desk situation, or is it also like a defined workflow? Who approaches you on what task?
Yeah, I'd say like who I work the most with are probably 1 or 2 dedicated developers. There's surprisingly little you can make working as UI designer without programmers, but it also goes vice versa. So we are always working together. It's like you can't make any screen work without programmers, and they usually don't know what to do with the graphics and stuff. So so that's on a daily basis. And then similar to what Fernando said, there's always the game designer and I don't know, and sometimes it's animators and VFX artists, but that highly depends on the project. If your project is very like dialogue driven and you have a lot of, I don't know, lists and management within dialogues, it will be very different as if you, I don't know, have a racing game or something and you're working on a UI that is made for, like, it's a HUD in the car while the player is driving it on a gaming console. The way it's integrated is a bit different, and so are your colleagues you work with. Yeah, but like in general, you could say UI is a very frontline job. Being a lone wolf and not, if you don't like to talk, it's probably not the correct job for you. You will have to talk every day a lot. People will ask you questions a lot, and your work is also the work that is being criticized first, except from critical bugs. Like, that's another thing.
Yeah, you have to talk a lot, but no worries. You don't have to talk bullshit. You can just talk what makes sense about. And yeah, I have nothing to add. Basically, just yeah, you have a lot of contact depending which phase you are. Like we said in the beginning, if you start a new feature in the game, then you work a lot with the game designer probably, and later if you implement it, you work a lot with the developer.
Actually, now as you mentioned working with game designers a lot, I've got an interesting question from the chat, probably from a game designer actually, who asked, what is something you wish game designers could do better? What should they avoid? Any opinions on that? I guess in relation to your work and how
I guess that every concern, I mean, every project is a project done by a group of people, and we need to try to be as transparent as we can in order to solve issues for everyone. So in our group or in our team, we try to listen in people and getting feedback as much as we can, because the quicker we can interact and the quicker we can redirect things or whatever. So it's not, that's our take, you know, it's like every team, every company, and everyone is working differently. But from my personal perspective, it's better to talk about everything that you don't like, everything that you like, everything that you want, everything that you support, and then through talkings and through analyzing what they want, what are their needs, and what is possible to do, or depending in time or production or whatever, try to balance things in order that be as better outcome as possible for everyone, not just for me or for them, but for the whole team.
Yeah, if I can connect to that theory, controversial. I have the experience that game designers tend to have quite the big ego from time to time. It comes with the role, I think. It's like being that person that thinks of stuff and also having to talk to everyone. And they usually also have to talk to higher ups. So there's a lot of responsibility. And what Fernando says, like this, working together, talking together, understanding each other, communicating, it is also it's a brain chemistry group therapy thing all the time. And if you go into that job with ego and you want to tell other people how to do their job and you lose the respect of it, that's difficult. I made this experience, but in general, there's not a thing. Like I wouldn't tell a game designer how to do their job or what to change. There's no recipe there.
Some conflicts I had with game designers where, do we really need to show this info, or do we really need to show this and this?
Yeah.
Or can we leave it? Can we leave this information?
Can we just add a button?
We don't need this. Yeah, sometimes it feels like doing it more complicated than it should be, but you can't say this in general. It depends.
Okay, but I think that was a great concluding question on the topic of teamwork. A lot of talking, a lot of thinking about together how do we get it done the best way. That is actually great. And I think Amanda has a few more questions that might interest career starters the most. So yeah, you want to take over?
Yeah, exactly. We already heard that you didn't have the most typical ways into like in going into UI and UX design, but in your opinion, what formal education would a UI designer need to get into the industry?
Graphics design, rock solid.
Yeah.
That's my answer. You want to know. You want to know the basics of graphics design, and you have to be passionate for it. It's like you want to be this OCD person that corrects stuff on the table every now and then. It has to matter to you how things are presented, and you have to develop an eye for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same. Strong knowledge in graphic design, composition, color, font, readability. You know, plenty of things, because we are driving the players where to see, what is important, what not. So we need to be trying to manipulate the eyes of the people, the perception of people, and all all these tricks are solved through graphic design. Then you have the abilities of rendering, illustration, and depending on every team or every company, if it's a small company, if indie company or whatever, probably you will want to have the tendency is to have one person that is doing the UI, implementing, coding, program, making the art and making all the function of the UI. In bigger companies, AAA or whatever, you have the chance to delegate, divide all the work for a specific person. So the UI, UX, even if they need a strong, my point of view is they need a strong sense of graphic design, not necessarily they need to be the greatest artist. My role as a UI artist, I need, of course, the ability to render things and to draw things and to solve things, but I need to be a good graphic designer and sensibility. You know, you need to have the whole visual experience in front of you and understanding of what visuals are.
Yeah, that's basically it. I have nothing to add.
So for starters, what are hard skills a career starter should have before starting?
Hard skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to soft skills. Yeah, sure.
Right.
I don't know. Hard.
Maybe some tools you should definitely know, or some methodologies you should be proficient in, something like that you absolutely need to know before starting.
I think the basic knowledge in software, Photoshop, Illustrator, depending on the engine that every company is working on, I don't know, Unity or whatever engine that companies use. But I guess that it depends too. You need to question yourself what kind of project you want to have, which kind of company you want to work for. So once you know, if I wanted to work, for example, let's say that I will back in time and I'm a junior and I don't know, have clear ideas where to go, I will say, do I want to work for those big companies Blizzard, Rockstar, big companies that make AAA. So I need to work harder in order to achieve skills to present my portfolio on my CV. If I will be working for mobile, probably I will have focus in what specific type of graphics makes the mobile industry. So I will be researching how they make iconography, how they make stuff, which kind of software they use. So you need to learn. You need to identify first the target, what you want to go, and then try to use your time for this target.
Annika, do you have anything to add to that?
Your hard skills, I would say Photoshop, Illustrator, Unity, as Fernando said, or any, depends if you want to stay in the mobile industry. I think there's Unity used a lot at the moment. I don't know, maybe some prototyping software. I'm not sure if this is already too advanced. It's also depending where you work. Everybody uses something else. So maybe just have a knowledge about how graphic software works, or visualizing software works.
So how do you keep yourselves up to date about new findings in UX and UI? Do you have any tips for people in the audience who might have already started out as UX and UI designers?
I don't. Yeah, to be honest, I don't read a lot of research or articles about this. I don't even play a lot of mobile games, to be honest. But that's very different from person to person. It's not a recipe. I play video games, and I think I have a general interest in stuff. I don't know. I like graphics design. I look at posters and everything. So if there's a new project I'm working on, I'm like checking the competitors is not the first thing I do. It's just it's my personal thing. I usually try to find something else, like inspiration, metaphors and stuff for the project I'm working on. It's coming from another place. I'm actually quite bad at competitor research. That's me.
There is plenty of platforms on the internet that you can have. If you want to learn things, there is site dedicated to collect UI from different games and from different platforms. There is plenty of channels that speak about UI and UX. There is a website that is collecting UIs only from fictional UI interfaces, from movies, from specifically from sci-fi topics. But in modern time, you just Google things and you find everything that you can. And the other thing is, like, what I will recommend to people is just, if you really have curiosity of things, you don't rely only on internet of these things. There is plenty of books and physical things that you can research. But again, it's as Robert said, there is no recipe, but it's your own curiosity. Which kind of my take is, the more you expose yourself to different topics and different things and different cultures, different platforms and different things, the richest possibilities of imagination you have to solve problems.
I just try some games from time to time, mobile games. What is in the App Store, the top 10, I have a look, okay, what's new and what's trending, what style is now actual, and Also, we share within the team sometimes what we found, and if there's something interesting, new game, and there are parts of a game we should maybe look deeper and adapt to our game or stuff like this.
Did any of you in the past hold personnel responsibilities? If so, what else do you look for when screening applications or having interviews with potential new junior colleagues?
I did. Like I had, I think, 2 interns in UI back at Good Game Studios. What I look for is, I don't know, it's a bit what we already said. It's like an eye and a passion for detail. Kind of. I don't like sloppy work. It's like when stuff not aligns and they don't seem to see it, it's always a bit weird to me. It's like it has to matter. Like graphics design has to matter. Weirdly, I look for competitor research. I want to know if I look through applications and portfolios, I actually look for, does it look like modern? Does it make sense? Is there appeal to it? Yeah. And I think a general thing is UI can be very different. I think Fernando mentioned that it depends on the project and the company you want to go to, and also the platform the project will be running on. Mobile is different from PC in terms of resolution and how you interact with stuff. One is for fingers, the other is not. And I would check if the general portfolio fits to what we are working on. Yeah.
I would also, okay. Yeah, I also sit in some of those personal job interviews, and yeah, I would also check if the person is really able to do teamwork, because it's really important if you can communicate with this person, and yeah, if this fits, then it's fine. If the person is already in the job interview, you can expect that all the rest, like the hard skills, is already approved. Yeah, so you just need to check if it's a nice person that fits into the team.
Yeah, I guess I agree with all these things. You need to have someone that is fitting in your project, that have the same kind of alignment with whatever you are doing. We have the possibility to adapt to the project that we are working on. And my personal point of view is about the personality. Is someone that is helpful, is open, is have the ability to integrate things with everyone, that have different opinions, that have his own opinions and can share them freely, and that can respect opinions of other people. I think work is really important. Someone that is, I think, work a person. I guess that is the most important thing, because at the end of the day, we spend many hours working together in the same project, and you will expect these difficulties all the time. You will expect the stress. You will expect, because we work in the game industry, but it doesn't mean that every day is fun. So you have challenges. It's a job. You need to complete tasks. You need to do your work. You will receive a salary for your monthly work that you gave to the project. Is a work. You know, it's not only fun projects. It's fun because you work in something that is cool and people will enjoy it, and you are creating something really cool. But it doesn't mean that it's not a job, a regular job. And for me, it's important to have someone that you can iterate, you can talk, you can sit, you can slow down sometimes and sit to take a coffee and talk. This is important to have a human that understand you and can help you to solve the day-by-day things of a game developer's production.
Thank you. I will again hand over to Johannes, who will ask some question about the tips and tricks.
Yeah, it's more about tips and tricks for people who want to start out in careers like yours. I think Fernando already made a great bridge to my next question. In your experience, are there common misconceptions about the game industry or about working as a UI or UX designer that you often encounter in career starters, like people imagining something completely different?
I think what Fernando just said leads to the next idea. I think there is a lot of prestige around certain jobs and certain projects, companies, and it's like you have this part of the industry that is in the spotlight in social media and on YouTube and stuff. But it's actually it's a job, and it's like I don't want to say fighting, but having these discussions with people on a daily basis, and also take these setbacks. Like you have a great idea and you have a vision of something, but there's just not enough time, or people disagree with you in the team, and you have to arrange with that. I think you have to be aware of that. And at the same time, it's not a 9-to-5 job as well. It's for me at least. Like, as a UI designer, you have to. I don't know. There's not this recipe, the same thing you can do every day. It is very different, and there are these stress peaks that are part of the industry. Like stuff is not working and the deadline is close. Like this classic thing, and you just have to work it. That can happen, and there's something people don't see. And also maybe the technical thing, like how difficult integration sometimes is, like making a thing work in a game. It's like starting from nothing and then make something until it is beautiful. That's actually a lot of work, and it's unseen. Yeah.
I guess there is plenty of things that are behind these scenes that no one sees. People don't see that we produce a lot of stuff that will just, because of filtering or because of what is best for the project, or because of, I don't know, terms of production, or because we don't have the technologies, or whatever reason, we are always overproducing things, and sometimes you will, in the industry, you need to face a lot of kind of stress, because you are putting on the best that you can, your best ideas, your best things, and then you will see that things are on the side, or need to be changed, or need to be adjusted, or there is plenty of things that, and this is not my work, it's the work for everyone. The people that make the music, the art directors, the game director, everyone will see his work change for reasons, because of the gameplay is not working, because of what we think is cool. Then in the research way, once you set up the game with people in the company, you discover it's not cool, it's not as well as it's not as cool as we think, or it's not so fun, it's not engaging. So it's a lot of iteration. You need to be open. People, I guess that in video game industries, people think that outside, once we launch games or whatever, everyone is criticizing you, everyone is on top, everyone have opinions, especially in this modern world where everyone uses social channels just to criticize in destructive way, not like, okay, I will criticize you to help you or to see where you can improve things, or but usually modern times is everyone have an opinion and everyone is an expert, but there is plenty of people that doesn't know how much work is inside of a video game company in order to ship a game, the years of processes, the amount of creativity, the amount of negotiations inside of a company in order to, because at the end of the day, every developer just wants to make a project that works out and that is well received for the people to play. We are not trying to fail. We are not trying to do ugly things. We try to do the best that we can with whatever is at hand. And it's a reality. We make video games and it looks fun or whatever, but again, it's a job. It's a job that we try to do in the best way, in the best possible way, trying to target the best outcome for us as developers and to people that experience the game.
Yeah, great. Thank you. That was some very interesting points. As our main focus for this events are career starters and students, do you have any tips for building a very convincing portfolio as a UI artist or as a UX artist, especially when you start out and don't have like a ton of games that you worked on that you can reference? Are there anything that you would put in there to convince people?
I will speak about personal things. I am always doing personal projects. You need to do personal things because it's a way that you can challenge yourself to learn things and position yourself in different environments. And the other thing is that you create your portfolio with fake projects that will help you to gain experience that you don't have in a real company. So when I was young, before entering in for agencies, I will create my own fake companies. I will create my own logos, my own things, my own takes, and then show my portfolio to these agencies, saying, "Oh, look, I did this job. This is my experience. I earned my own experience," and I keep with these ideas to making always something on my side. So, well, if I will recommend something to the newcomers, is there is always a ways to gain experience is position yourself like if you are working for a real company with a real project, with a real things, with a real art direction, and make one project that you can, 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, as much as you want, showing that you have the potential to work in a game company. And the other thing is identify what you want to do, which kind of company, which kind of projects, which kind of is mobile, is AAA, is indie, is where you see yourself working with, and then you need to create a portfolio. For example, if I want to work for Blizzard, I need to research what Blizzard is doing, and I will do things as Blizzard does. I will do things as probably giving my own creativity, where I can improve things for Blizzard, where I can give something extra to them to show that I'm a good candidate and I can offer something more than they expect. But once I reach the level that they are expecting from you.
Yeah, if you have no project experience, then I would also recommend to invent some fake games. Just see what's on the market. But every game has some functions that has every game, like inventory screen, or I don't know what else, shop or something. Do your own setting, your own style, and then invent a game and just create nice visuals. Maybe not only 2D, maybe also some animations, some videos that show some movements, or some flows, click flows, and yeah, this. Or if you want to make real games, maybe if you could go study and meet new people there, and also create small games, or look for other people in general that are interested in doing games. Just make a small app, very small games, also nice.
I'm thinking how a test could look like. I've never done that for UI. Like, what would I ask from a person who already applied, and I want to see a test? I'm just thinking some very complicated or like screens full with information, and transform that into a certain style. I don't know, like I don't know, like a soccer chart, like the ranking of a soccer game, and maybe transfer that to Diablo. Like, how would soccer look in Diablo, and then be able to reflect on that. Like, why did you choose these colors, this font, and this could be very interesting. Could also be an interesting exercise. Maybe also just, I don't know, browse ArtStation, pick an image you like, and then add a UI on top and make it organic. That can be an interesting training. And then, I don't know, reflect on that with like 1 or 2 lines of text. And that's what I find interesting. But I think what Fernando says is correct. Like, target your portfolio on the company and like niche or branch you apply to.
Yeah, great. Maybe to add another question, is there something that really catches your eye that makes a portfolio stand out for you if you see them?
I guess it's correct.
Sorry, Fernando?
No, you, sorry.
Just good graphics design, but that's stupid. I like when they take care of layout, but it's a bit mean to expect that from very young people who just started, especially, no offense, but especially a lot of concept artists who are usually drawing stuff are not good or not that good in presenting stuff. And like, they oftentimes do not know where to place text and everything. And I really enjoy if they do. Like, if they find this one layout that is subtle but has character, and it works for all their pieces, and it's not offensive, like not loud, it's not too much information. I don't know. That's yeah, that's what I like. But it's always weird to expect that.
Yeah, I will expect good graphic design as well, but the uniqueness, that we are more and more, the industry is growing up in people that want to enter in the video game industry. There is not plenty of industry, the companies doing things as well. We will have a limited number of companies, and more you see in ArtStation or in many different platforms, more people trying UI design. But what I will be looking, if someone is interested for me, is like, what is your uniqueness? What is what is the new things that you can put in the table? Because mainly what you see in the industry is a copy of the copy of the copy of the copy, just tweaking colors or tweaking a little bit small things. But it's hard to find someone that is giving some insight. What is the new thing that you have to say? What is this new approach that you have, or what is? I want to see your creativity. Because it's a creative task. You need to create every single day new things, every single day. So we need someone that is proposing things. That I need to see that his brain is ticking, is working, is moving, is going in direction, is going here and there, is adapting to new situations, but not necessarily. Something that I dislike a lot is when I see portfolio portfolios of people is that they are doing the trendy things. Because when you make trendy things, I don't know, if the game, the most, whatever is the game that is now on top of everyone is trying to do the art like them, concept like them, logos like them, iconography like them, things like that. But the main problem is that this has a date of expiration. So everything that is trendy have a date of expiration, and then will become, then you have a different trend, and you need to learn a new trend and whatever. But my take is how you attach visually to a specific project. For example, if I'm working with Diablo, I will not make the trendy Diablo. I will do what is essentially, what is the core of Diablo? What is the specific things that make the UI Diablo Diablo? Or if I will be making a specific mobile game, what is the uniqueness in this game? What is the specifics of this game that make special this game and different to different another games, and not just a clone of the clone or a copy of the copy? Because we have a lot of artists that can adapt to different projects, and especially sadly, most of the people are just copying things, just iterating a little bit, making small changes, but most of the things look similar, feel similar. And what I want to, or I am expecting from people is the uniqueness.
Yeah, in general, I see the whole impression of the portfolio, not some specific stuff I like. But I would really like if I see some experimental or crazy stuff sometimes, what looks good, of course. Yeah, this is nice to see some creative explosions. That's nice to see. Also, not if the whole portfolio consists of experimental stuff that could give a weird impression. There may be something that game studios don't always want.
Maybe avoid anime babes. Except you're making the next Persona, and you really convince me with that graphic design. But if you're thinking I drew these cool anime babes and I still want to show them, maybe don't. That's
What a great conclusion to this to this question. Maybe don't. Yeah, I think Amanda still has some final questions for you.
Yeah, there's a really important question also for our audience. Are there any open positions in the UI or UX or art department in your companies right now, especially for interns or entry-level employees?
At the moment, sadly, not really for beginners. We have 3 general 3D artist positions and 1 senior illustrator position. But maybe that's not for you. Maybe you know someone who has the skills.
yeah. Sviper is currently looking for Unity devs and level designers on the more mechanical side. So that's the concrete positions. Everything art related is not very concrete. We are not looking for UI specifically, but we are very open for any art initiatives. Like what's the word? It's like if you are a generalist, feel very free to apply. We at Sviper, we like to have our people a bit more like T-shape, like with one main discipline and maybe 1 or 2 other disciplines on their hands. So if you feel like a game dev, art-wise, feel free to apply. There's some stuff cooking at Sviper.
I don't know. I'm not very aware of what's going on in terms of hiring at Blizzard. There is, of course, plenty of positions for many developers, but I don't have any specific information.
Okay, then we can jump over to our questions asked in the chat. The first one is for Fernando, but I think the others can also share their experiences. How much time do you spend on understanding tonally the game before starting the work? And at what stage do you start thinking about the style?
The style, you need to start thinking from the very beginning. Before starting any production of UI, you need to talk to the art director, to the leads, to the gameplay, and everyone that have information, because the answer to your visual challenges are in your team. So I receive from UX the wireframes, and I will be solving from the very beginning what will be the specific style of the UI, but I will be creating different takes, different possibilities, just to share to the art director, and he will be taking considerations or directions. So the art style must be, you are working from the very beginning in the sense of artistic style from the day one. And then it's just simple iteration through as long as takes the project. Let's say that, for example, in Witcher 3, the UI changed different times because of condition of the production. And in another projects I worked before, the work that I did in where I was working in a AAA project in Hamburg at Good Games. The art style, I defined it quickly and easily with help of another UI artist, but mainly me. And I have plenty of creativity. I mean, I have a lot of room to create things. So I define it easily, and I get a lot of support from the team. It's a project that make me feel extremely happy, more than The Witcher. Because of this work, I found this possibility to work with Diablo 4, and with Diablo 4 is all the time iterating things, changing colors, or fonts, or sizes, or textures, because we want to give the best experience and the production of UI art in Diablo is demanding. It's a really high quality project. It's 8K resolution, and everything need to look nicer. And it's another kind of level of creativity and time that we give to develop whatever we are, whatever are the needs of the project. So yeah, it's always you need to check yourself all the time and be aligned with whatever is the vision of your art director.
Yeah, I can't say a time as well. I don't know how long it takes. It's different every time. And I also have to say, most of the projects I'm proud of, they changed over time drastically. I thought I had it, and then 1.5 years later was the point of time when it became organic. Like, now everything made sense. Now I know, okay, there's a new feature, it needs this and that dialogue, and I just know how to design it now. A challenge I give myself when a new project starts is, what would a server message look like? It's like the most simple pop-up you can get. It's like this rectangle with text and maybe a button. like if you have already some concept art, and this is something I like to do next to the whole mood boarding and stuff. When you collect all the stuff, like you want to create this headspace, and then I start developing this very simple message, this very simple dialogue, and I wanted to see if it makes sense in the game. But most of the time, it really changes over time. It's annoying almost, because I can hardly answer that question.
Yeah, same here. It can change all the time. We had 2 months ago or 3 months font change, and that means also that the UI is not so much linked anymore to the new font, and now we maybe have to make a new UI. Could happen.
I think if like some examples from games I find inspiring and and I also knew a bit about the process. One would be Hearthstone. There's a nice documentary on YouTube where the UI designers talk about how they, or I think it's a GDC talk, how they came up with how Hearthstone looks today. And they were thinking about this seed, this so-called seed. Like they, at some point, they had the idea that Hearthstone is taking place in that tavern in Azeroth, and it's actually a game board people open at a table. And that's this base idea you want to develop. And it's a lucky moment. It doesn't happen all the time. And sometimes UI is very generic and you just do stuff, I don't know. But that's a great moment if you find that metaphor and if you look for it. And then stuff starts making sense. That is very satisfying. And another all-time favorite of mine would be Dishonored, like the UI of Dishonored. And I love it so much because it derives from the game world, like directly. There is textures and posters and packaging and drawings in the game. And the UI just takes that and looks like that. And I think if you can create a moment like that, it's like this idea, you find something in the concept art and there's a spark. Okay, the UI should be, I don't know, made on cloth or I don't know, on wood, and things start falling into place for you. That's a good moment. Yeah, I don't know if there's a tip.
Then we have a question for someone who is looking for a UI UX design internship in a year, and he's asking you for tips.
Tips? What kind of tips? Like
I guess maybe where to look, how to approach people.
It depends, again, it depends where you want to work, which kind of company, which kind of project, which kind of, how much you want to invest creating things. Is for mobile or is for, you are looking for an entry into this company for the future opening to different possibilities in the industry. So you need to question yourself, where do you see yourself working with? Which kind of company? What is your dream company? Which kind of your dream projects? And then work on that. That's mainly what I will, if I be a junior again and I need to restart my career as a UI. Again, I did it out of need, but I have, before entering in the industry, I just have years building knowledge and experience in different things, fonts, illustrations, web design, TV, commercials, and so on. That gave me the possibility to adapt to different industry. And the other thing is that I am taking every project as a graphic designer. So it doesn't matter what is my client or what's the platform of where I will be presenting my work. I mainly think as a graphic designer. So I will be researching my client, what he did, what he wants, when he needed, which kind of languages the project specific needs, and and how are the terms of production and so on. But you need to set up your brain what you want to do, which is the industry, which is the company, which is the project that you like the most, and what are you willing to sacrifice in order to gain experience. Because if you are junior, it means that you need to study, you need to research, you need to learn, you need to, so it's more about that.
Yeah, and maybe look for opportunities to connect. I think that applies for most jobs in the industry. In Hamburg, there's obviously the Gamecity. That's a thing where people occasionally meet. But there's also stuff like I don't know, like live drawing and stuff like that, where you just meet people from Hamburg and just, I don't know, where you working? What are you doing? And if you attend, people will remember you. You get the tips, what's important. Yeah. And to be specific for Sviper, just try to apply. I can't guarantee anything, but that's the base tip. Like, just try.
One last tip: just apply. Send your CV if you think that you are ready to show yourself, even if they are not looking for someone. Because sometimes suddenly they open positions and they will review the CVs that they have already in their companies. So they will be looking for what they have in the database. So if you think that you are ready for something, don't wait that they have open positions. Try to reach people. Try to be. If you really want, do it. It's like, don't wait for this good signal, the good moment. Life is teaching me. Again, I had a really tough life at the very beginning, living in Europe, and the only chance that I had, because it was nothing else, was doing things by my own. Trying to reach people, trying to send CVs, trying to. If you really want something, look for it. Don't wait for people to. And if you are really cool and you have a good ideas and these things, people will see you and will take you in the top of the list of considerations when they open positions for positions.
The same question is also asking: Are you looking for anything in particular that you would like to see in a portfolio from someone looking for an internship?
I think just what we said already, just general 2D art skills, basics, and some own projects.
Maybe one question that's a little bit tied to that, on the skills side. We already talked about tools and software. What would be your top 3 that you should know in order to grow as a professional in UX or UI in the gaming industry?
My top 3, just personal, it's very individual, I guess. Photoshop, Unity, and yeah, third one is Joker. I don't know. Third one. Maybe internet browser.
I think for me it's Illustrator or Photoshop, and Unity or Unreal, and ideally prototyping software, maybe Figma, maybe XD. Just, you don't have to be an expert. No one expects that if you apply for an internship, but I don't know, like get a basic idea how graphic software works and how stuff actually gets into games. That's a thing. And maybe also check out Affinity if you don't want to go for Adobe, but it's the industry standard. Yeah.
So we had the topic research before, but there's someone asking, does your job entail any UX research activities? Does your study or publisher have dedicated stuff for doing UX research?
It depends on the project and if there's someone else who's caring about this. In the past, we sit together and worked on how to make a user test and send it within the company to test it here. But at the moment, we have an analytics department which takes over all the user testing, and that helps you if you want to test your game or parts of your game, then you can just get in contact with them and they do everything else. But in a smaller team, I think it's different.
Yeah. Like it's a bit of an annoying thing to answer like that, but in a small company like us, a dedicated UI UX designer wouldn't be busy all the time. That's a problem. I don't know how to tackle that, because dedicated UX designers, they are like, they know so much stuff. You don't want them to be T-shaped kind of. And usually people I know who say they are UI UX designers, they are not so far into UX like dedicated UX designers are. So that's a bit of an annoying thing. So the sad truth is we use services like Playtest Cloud, for example, where we just send our builds to, and then the UX research happens among different departments within our companies. Like, I watch the videos and comment on that. Our balancers and game designers look at that. QA looks into that, and then we talk about stuff. And the other sad truth is there is a lot of gut feeling happening compared with analysis, like looking at competitors and stuff. But yeah, that's about the research we do.
It's always close to say something that they already mentioned is, depending on the company, the budget, if they can afford, or they will hire someone or dedicated, or they will hire another company for make the research. But in our case, in the case of Blizzard, yeah, there's people taking care of research and the user experience test.
Yeah, okay, thank you. We have so many more questions. I don't think we can actually answer them all today, but I think we'll try our best here. And I got one question, again, referring to tools. What kind of prototype software do you use? And is there a difference software-wise for prototyping between game UI UX and regular UI UX, or do you use basically the same stuff for prototyping in those fields?
I don't use prototype tools, but I know people that prototype things. For example, years ago, they will make things in HTML and plug controllers and make tests in internet device or whatever. I guess that now everyone is using Figmas, or Adobe have their own Adobe UX. I guess I don't remember how's the name of the application from Adobe XD. Yeah, so there is plenty of possibilities, I guess. But it's up to, for example, in my case, I'm more dedicated to the art in itself, so I am not dealing with UX. Even if some wireframes, my team can prototype something, and then when I try to implement or to create the art, I will say, oh, I will see that maybe we can make small changes or position things in different ways or changing colors or whatever, but it's not my field of expertise.
Yeah, Figma, XD, that's what the UX designers worked with, that I worked with. I personally do most of it in Illustrator, surprise. It's just the way Illustrator is designed. It's like this open canvas, and I can just quickly rearrange stuff that works with my mindset very well. So for me, Illustrator is like this central tool where I design and lay out and then send stuff to Photoshop and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, here it's the same. Photoshop and XD standard. And if you want to show animations and stuff, then just make a video. Could do it inside Photoshop, the timeline, or in After Effects or something, just to visualize your idea.
We had actually someone asking if paper prototyping is still a thing, or how common is it? Do you do it?
It's not so easy in home office times, paper prototypes. But we use some virtual boards, whiteboards, Miro software, and it's easy to brainstorm with this one. So just a white screen, and you can put cards on it and stuff, and this helps.
That's amazing. If you have these struggle sessions, I enjoyed that a lot. Like when I had these sessions with my art director, UI, UX designer, and game designer, and we were just like hands-on moving stuff in Miro and commenting on it. That works very well. But no paper prototyping. Not in these times, man. Can't waste your paper.
Paper prices are up, I see, yeah. Actually, we have one very good question for further stuff you could look at. Do you have any recommended reading, any one of you, for people who want to break into UI, UX and the game industry? Anything that you would recommend to look into?
Maybe Atomic Design, but maybe that's already outdated. I don't know. There's a book called Atomic Design. It's about a design principle. Once you understand it, that's it. It becomes very natural. Yeah.
No, nothing. No.
It's a sad truth. I hardly read about UI. I read a lot, but not about UI.
Same here. I read a lot of different topics, but not specifically related with the industry.
Okay, but we got a starter here, and you already told us lots of stuff that you could look into, and lots of stuff you could try. We're near the end of our time tonight. We didn't make it through all the questions, but I think Amanda has one last one lined up.
Yeah, it is a tool question. There's someone who wants to learn about motion design, but finds it hard to find good free alternatives to After Effects or Protopie. Do you have any good free alternatives that you know that work with Unreal Engine's widget, or is Unreal Engine's widget animations good enough?
Oh, it's super concrete. You could use Blender also for doing 2D animations. Blender is free, and it's also fun to learn it. There are a lot of tutorials. could use it for maybe for what you want. But not sure.
Yeah, theoretically, yes. There is grease pencil and there are a lot of funky plugins. I don't know, that makes stuff look like it's printed. So Blender is a thing. There are so many tutorials for Blender. Like this is a hot scene at the moment. Yeah.
Is there anything you personally want to add after hearing all these questions? Did we forget anything? Is there anything you want to say?
Maybe especially something you would like to have heard before you started your career. Any advice for very early stage career people?
Maybe that nothing is set into stone. Everything can still change. I don't know how old are you. I can't see you, and maybe you don't need to start with UI. You can start with everything, and you can still come back to UI at any point. And
Sorry.
No, just continue.
I would think that recommendation, it's not if you are looking for a job or doing things, do it because you will feel fine doing things, but don't look for jobs because of the title or because of the big companies or because of. First, if you feel fine with yourself in whatever you are doing, you will do the best that you can. And first, you need to set up things in order to feel happy with yourself in specific environments, and don't put the dream in the title or that you will be senior or whatever, or don't think about your career as a competition with other people. Do things in your pace, in your mode, in the things that you feel fine. Sometimes, for example, you can be the company see potential in you and they will promote you to a lead or whatever. And if inside of yourself you feel that you are not a good lead, don't take the job. It's like no one is forcing you to do things. Do things in order to feel comfortable with yourself, to do the best that you can do and to feel fine finishing the job and having time for your free life. Years before, when I go back to my problem because it's a point of reference for me. Before I was killing myself to have a job. I will work harder. I will do things. I will try to learn and kill myself only to have a job. And now I am at the point that I just want to have a good job, to have a good quality life. And that's a different take from my mentality. I prefer to have a good job that give me time for my family, to my own projects, that respect who I am, that respect my point of view, that give me a good personal satisfactions. And not, I don't need to put all the time like I'm a Blizzard guy. I did The Witcher. All these things keep in the air. This is not important. Important is the people you work with. Important is the quality time work that you spend in your office or with the people that you are with. There is a plenty of more important things than a title, that the big projects or the big things. Of course, I am saying this because I already work with different big projects, but it's my recommendation. Just work for yourself where you can feel the best of yourself doing something.
Robert, I just see you're nodding.
Yeah, that was so poetic. I don't want to ruin that moment, but I always tend to think if someone have to, like, I should have learned basic coding. That's like a personal thing. I always thought if you are able to write scripts, that helps so much, especially now that I work a lot with Unity. But I don't want to put pressure on someone. Drawing is also a nice skill. Just draw. Yeah. it's weird. I grew into the industry, so there wasn't a time where I was thrown into the cold water or something.
Yeah, thank you so much for all your amazing insights, for your knowledge, for your time. Also, to the audience, thank you for all your questions in the chat. With Gamecity, we have like more events coming up. You can check them out on our website. You can also join our Discord, where you can connect with other people from the industry. Just as Robert said before, it's very important to be connected to do some networking. And our Discord is very good for that. And yeah, I can just say thank you so much, and all of you have a nice evening.